What's up, guys? Are you thinking about moving to Las Vegas and you're curious as to just what sort of costs you're going to have to incur if you in fact do move here? That's what today's video is all about. Today we're going to talk about the hidden costs of living in Las Vegas and what sort of things you need to plan for in your budget if you do in fact decide to purchase a home and move here to Sin City.
And we're not talking about like losing your mortgage payment at the slots, are you?
I don't think I would consider that a hidden cost. I think I would consider that more of a foolish decision.
Okay, all right.
So we're going to keep these two costs that you incur through normal day-to-day life and less about the poor choices that you may or may not make during your free time. Let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. The first thing that we want to talk about is what are the hidden costs associated with your housing if you do in fact move here to Las Vegas. So Justin, what's the first thing you got for us here?
Well, like it or not, Las Vegas, Henderson, North Las Vegas, majority of the homes in these communities are going to be in an HOA.
Very true. We have a lot of HOAs here in the Valley, probably more so than just about any other city that I've lived in.
Yeah, me too. I mean, you know, coming from California, living in Texas for a long time, I'd heard about HOAs, but I've never seen it to the extent that Las Vegas has.
Yeah, absolutely. And the HOA fees here, man, there is such a huge variety of HOA fees. You really have to pay attention when you are looking for a home, because I know that, like, I got really fortunate when I bought my home. My home is not in an HOA, which is actually surprising. When you look at the neighborhood, you would actually think that it would be, but we don't have an HOA here. However, most of the homes that I have helped people buy since I became a realtor a few years ago, I want to say the overwhelming majority have been in an HOA. And I've seen HOA fees as low as $50 a month.
Well, we were just showing a client from YouTube, by the way. We were just showing a client homes the other day, and that home had a $10 HOA.
Yeah, which is crazy. You almost wonder what are they going to do with $10 a month.
Exactly.
But the client certainly was happy about that.
Yep.
But then again, we've also seen HOA fees between $500 and $1,000 a month.
Some of the high-rise living and some of these ultra-luxury communities will have HOA. I mean, I've seen, I'm not going to say the name of the towers, but I have seen HOAs close to $5,000 a month.
See, that's insane. And that is definitely an outlier, guys.
Yes.
Don't think that that's normal here.
That's like New York City type stuff.
Yeah, that is an extreme example. But I can tell you something that I've seen that is really, really high, but maybe not quite as much of an outlier, is that I've seen HOA fees up around the $700 or $800 a month mark in some of the more exclusive gated communities that we have here in the Valley.
Especially the golf course communities.
So the community I'm thinking of in particular right now is Spanish Trails. And I know that the HOA fees in there run around that number, $700, $800 a month. But you also have to ask about what you're getting for that money. Right, so that's a community that, number one, it is a very, very safe, guarded, gated community. Even for us as realtors, just to get in there and show properties requires quite a bit of coordination. So they have very strict security there. It's a gated community with some of the most gorgeous landscaping in the entire Valley. And my understanding, having toured a few homes in that community, is those HOA fees include things like all of the landscaping for your property is taken care of, with the exception of if you have a fenced-in backyard, you're responsible for that, but everything else is covered. Your front yard, your hedges, all of the landscaping in the community is taken care of. The exterior of your house is covered.
Oh, okay.
So if you get damage to your roof, or if there's some sort of damage to the exterior of your home, that's covered by the HOA fees. On top of the fact that it is a golf course community with a giant community center and a fitness center and multiple swimming pools throughout the entire community, well manicured jogging trails. Like, there is so much that community has to offer.
Roving security as well, not just gated.
Right.
Gated,
yeah, absolutely. They have, it's some of the tighter security that I've seen in the Valley. So yes, the HOA fees are high. The home prices are also pretty high. They have some reasonably affordable townhomes in that community. I've actually toured a couple of them that made me think twice about, hey, maybe this is someplace I could consider after the kids are out of the house. But those HOA fees are steep, but you do get a lot for it. The point being is that if you're thinking about buying a home here in Las Vegas, make sure you take HOA fees into account. And if you don't want to spend a lot on HOA fees, make sure you tell Justin and I that when you contact us to help you start looking for a home, because we can go into the MLS and we can actually sort for HOA fees. So we can say, hey, don't show us anything if the HOA fee is over, say, $200 a month or whatever it is that you're willing to spend on those HOA fees. And we can help you figure that out based on what your mortgage is going to be and what your property taxes, and we can roll all those numbers together to come out with that final number that you are comfortable with.
And I think having a good real estate agent that understands the Las Vegas market, you have to understand that you might also be looking at a master plan community fee.
Oh, good point.
Places like Summerlin, Mountain's Edge, Southern Highlands, these are master plan communities. So they have a master plan community fee that's either going to be charged monthly, quarterly, sometimes annually. And then within that master plan community, you will see smaller individual HOAs. So there may be 2 payments. And those often get overlooked by buyers and sometimes, unfortunately, real estate agents. And then it becomes a surprise to the buyer when they realize, wait a minute, I'm not paying $100 a month, I'm paying $280 a month. Where did this other fee come from? Also, when it does come to HOAs, I want to make sure you understand if you decide to buy a home in an HOA community. So we'll make sure that you get all the community rules, regulations, costs. They'll even break down the financials so that you have a better understanding of the community and the HOA that you're moving into. That's what having a good real estate agent is going to do for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if your real estate agent isn't looking at those numbers and presenting them to you in an easily digestible fashion, they are not doing you any favors. Like, it is very important that your realtor makes sure that you understand not just what your mortgage payment's going to be, but the overall cost of purchasing that home. Which brings us to our next point, which is property taxes. Now, if you're moving here from California, or if you're moving here maybe from the Northeast, our property taxes may not be as high as where you're coming from. But that's not to say that we don't have them, and it's not to say that it doesn't need to be taken into account. I did a little bit of research leading up to this video, and what I was able to find out is that the average property taxes is going to be somewhere between 0.5% and 0.75% of the home's assessed value every single year. So it's not necessarily an insignificant cost, it's not a huge cost, but it's definitely a cost that you need to take into account when you're doing your budgeting, when you're figuring out how much home you can afford, and when you're figuring out how much money you need to allocate every month in order to take care of that mortgage payment, that property taxes payment, that home insurance payment, etc.
And that's something that you and I can break down to a potential buyer before they even make an offer on a home. We can help educate you on this is the estimated property tax value, and that estimation is usually pretty close, usually within, I would say, a 5 to 10% margin, plus or minus, so you can have a better understanding of what that annual cost is going to be, or if it's something that you roll into your escrow and you make it as part of your monthly mortgage payment.
Right, and that number is something that's easy for us to find because we can go into the systems that we have access to and we can look at what the assessed value of the home has been for the past few years, and generally speaking, it's not going to vary a huge amount from year to year. So if the assessed value was X number of dollars last year, it's probably going to be pretty close to X number of dollars this year, and therefore the property taxes is going to be relatively similar. We can help you out with that as well, guys.
And the only exception to that would be is if you're buying a flip, a home that has been recently renovated. That could change the tax because it would also raise the value.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's another thing that it's important to ask your realtor to help you figure those things out so that you're not caught off guard when you do get that bill. That brings me to my next cost that you may not take into consideration. This is for you guys out there who are looking to rent, and that's, don't forget to calculate that renter's insurance.
Oh, yeah.
I know that if you're buying a home, the organization that holds your mortgage is going to mandate that you have homeowner's insurance, of course. But a lot of people who are coming here and they're renting may not realize that they're going to need renter's insurance. Now, it may or may not be mandated. Some landlords do dictate in the terms of the lease that you're going to maintain renter's insurance. Some don't. But even if they don't, it's highly advisable.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy to get. Most of the time, you can just call your car insurance company and ask if they bundle renter insurance and your auto insurance. You can usually get a discounted rate on both policies as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here, and we're going to talk about the utilities here in Las Vegas. And I can tell you from personal experience, this was one that caught me off guard. Now, I own a fairly large home, and because of that, it is pretty expensive for me to cool it, particularly in the summertime. And when I bought my home, I moved into my home 4th of July weekend in 2021. And when I moved in here, obviously it's the middle of summer. It's as hot as it is at any point in time during the year. And we had that AC going, trying to keep the home at a livable temperature. And I remember the shock that I got when I got my first $500 electrical bill.
Yeah. Well, you also have a pool, and the pool and jacuzzi will definitely contribute to the cost of your electric, just because there's constantly running. There's constantly energy being used through that. But yeah, so you definitely want to take into account the size of the home, what temperature you like to keep your home at. If you're like me, I like to keep my home right around 68 degrees. As you can maybe see on the sweat of my brow, Mike keeps his house a little bit warmer than mine.
Yeah, we tend to keep our house right around 75 degrees. Yeah. We do have a lot of ceiling fans that we let run 24 hours a day. We also have a few oscillating fans that we keep around the house in some of the areas. Like, just because of the nature of the AC system in our house, some rooms get cooler than others. And like my master bedroom, or my primary bedroom, is actually one of the warmest rooms in the house, unfortunately. And so we keep fans in there in order to augment the air conditioner, because I do try to keep that temperature set around 75 just to manage the bill. And that's with a solar system that we had installed in the home. So even with that solar system, which did bring my electric bill down drastically, I still try to keep the home at 75 in order to keep my electric bill from going too high. But also, don't forget that solar system comes with its own payment as well.
Correct.
Because I leased that solar system when I had it installed, because I didn't want to spend $75,000 in cash to have it put in. So while it did offset my electric bill substantially, it added a second bill onto the home. But it also adds a certain amount of value to the home.
Absolutely.
So it all comes out in the end.
And my home is nowhere near the size of Mike's home, because I have a smaller family. And my electric bill, the highest I've ever seen my electric bill, was right around $200.
Yeah, that's a dream come true for me. So talking about utilities, though, the other thing you need to take into account here in Las Vegas is your water bill. Now, if you are not familiar, you certainly should be before you move here, but we do live in the middle of the desert, and we are in the middle of a historic drought, which means that you have to conserve water. And one of the ways that they help encourage you to conserve water is by having tiered water pricing, which means the more water you use, the more expensive that water gets.
Yeah.
Right? So your first X number of gallons costs so much per gallon.
Yeah.
And then once you cross a threshold, it is more expensive on a per gallon basis. And there's a couple of thresholds. And I can tell you what, I actually had something happen here just a couple of months ago that I was unaware of. We had a break in one of our sprinklers. And so when the sprinklers were running in the middle of the night, I didn't realize it, but one of them was just pouring water out for 5 minutes every night from midnight to 12:05. And because of that, my water bill almost doubled overnight.
Wow. Okay.
And which is how I figured out there was a problem, and I got somebody out to fix it right away, because of course I want to be a responsible citizen. I want to help take care of the water that we have in our community. I'm a big believer in that. But man, it was a painful discovery for me to find out when my water bill doubled overnight. And it went from like $100 to well over $200.
Yeah.
So you do need to take into account that. Now, there's a lot of things you can do to take that bill and bring it down to something more reasonable. For one thing, I highly recommend getting rid of a lot of the water-hungry landscaping.
Yes.
And going with more desert-friendly landscaping. I have a small patch of real grass in my front yard, but the rest of my property is all desert-scaped and or artificial turf. And I'm actually considering going to artificial turf in the front yard as well. But make sure that when you're thinking about your utilities, you take into account that water bill and you take into account that electric bill, particularly in the summertime when they're both going to be at their highest.
And I can tell you that just me and my daughter, our water bill is usually right around $25 to $30 a month. So for two people, it's not really that bad. I've actually been told that people thought water would be much more expensive here than it is. So just keep that in mind. That is going to be another hidden expense.
Yeah, absolutely. So Moving on to our next expense.
All right.
We're going to talk a little bit about transportation. This was another one that caught me off guard when I moved here. First of all, car insurance in Las Vegas is expensive.
It is. It is very expensive.
There's a few reasons for that. You know, Las Vegas does have some property crime issues. You guys have seen our Vegas versus videos. You know that we're not shy about sharing the down and dirty details. Property crime is not at zero here as much as we would like it to be. And so because of things like car theft and also because of the high rate of accidents that you see on the highways here in Las Vegas, it causes those car insurance rates to be just a little bit higher than they might be somewhere else. I can tell you, I drive a sports car. You know, I drive an Audi S4, and it's a few years old, but they still take it out of me when it comes time to pay those car insurance rates for sure. And I know that, you know, Stasha drives something that's a little bit more economical, but her car insurance is no cakewalk either. Like,
I mean, I have a clean driving record since I was 16 years old, and I feel like I still pay much more than I should.
Yeah.
Especially for a 12-year-old vehicle that I drive.
Definitely. The car insurance rates here are something to be reckoned with. Now, I will tell you, I was surprised by the fact that my insurance on my motorcycle really isn't that bad.
Okay.
It's like $20, $30 a month.
And you probably get a discount because your car is kept in the garage.
I do.
So that is something that the insurance companies do take into account as well. If your car is garaged, you will receive a discount. And there are other things that you can do, like we talked about with the renter's insurance. If you bundle your home insurance with your car insurance, there are definitely discounts out there for you. So keep that in mind as well.
So
now, it's not going to be as expensive as insuring your car in someplace like California.
No, it's not. But it's certainly more expensive than it was in Colorado, where I moved here.
Yeah, for sure, from Texas as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So along the same lines of annual or semi-annual bills that you have to pay for your transportation, vehicle registration here is no joke either.
This is true.
And I'm feeling this one particularly at the time of filming of this video because I just did my renewal last week and it cost me $500. So stout. Make sure that you're taking that into account as well. Now, obviously the vehicle registration is going to vary depending on how old your car is and what type of car you have. But I can tell you, I have a 2018, and we're filming this in 2024, and I'm still paying $500 to renew my registration every year.
Yeah.
So make sure that you take that into account, guys. What about gas costs? Gas doesn't affect me as much. My vehicle is relatively economical, but I know you got the SUV.
I drive a Lincoln Navigator, and I feel like it cost me $10 just to start it up.
Yeah, I feel that.
So gas costs, it's crazy. You'll have a gas station on the corner here. You know, I just saw it yesterday when I was getting gas. On one corner, the gas was $4.10 a gallon. Right across the street, and equal brands of gas. It wasn't like an offshoot. The gas was $3.75 a gallon.
Yeah, that is crazy. I can tell you what I've been doing, and this has worked out really, really well for me. For quite a while, I was getting my gas at Sam's Club. Yep. I was using my Sam's Club membership to get gas, and I still do when it's convenient for me. I'll stop in there, and they tend to be on the cheaper end. But since we started shopping, we started doing our grocery shopping at Smith's.
Yeah.
And I start collecting those fuel points, and I'm feeding a family of 4, so I'm spending a couple $100 every week on groceries. And what I'm discovering now is, on average, I'm getting anywhere from 75 cents to $1 per gallon off by using my fuel points. Now, I don't do a whole lot of driving because I primarily work from home, so unless we're out showing clients' houses or unless we're out filming on location, most of the time I work here in the office, so I only have to fill up on average once every 2 weeks or so.
Must be nice.
It is quite nice, actually. But I am saving about almost $1 a gallon by using those fuel points. So I highly recommend that you decide where you do your grocery shopping based on, not only what store has the things that you like to eat, but also based on those, ancillary benefits you might get. And $1 a gallon off of gas can be a huge benefit.
And depending, if you're a Vegas local, you feel our pain, you understand what we're talking about. Now, if you're coming from someplace like California, Washington, Oregon, even Arizona, you're going to feel like the gas prices here are a bargain. They're a discount. I know that you just were in California not too long ago. Do you remember what the gas price was there versus what it was in?
It was over $5 a gallon when I was there. But I also, keep in mind, I also have to use premium, so that doesn't help my case any.
So based on what Mike is saying, though, if you're smart, you use fuel points, and you're living or moving here to Las Vegas, you can save on average probably $1.50 to $1.75 a gallon versus what you're paying now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that adds up. If you're like me, you have to fill up at least once a week, and you have a bigger SUV, that can definitely add up over the months and years.
For sure. All right, let's move into some of the expenses that maybe they're not day-to-day necessities like utilities and transportation costs, but they're still things you have to take into account. We're going to talk a little bit about the entertainment and dining. You guys know Justin and I, we love talking about all the great entertainment options that Vegas has, and we love talking about all of the great dining options Vegas has. And maybe this won't resonate with you so much if you're coming here from Southern California or the Bay Area or New York. But if you're coming here from small town USA, or if you're coming here from somewhere in the Midwest, you might need to be prepared for a little bit of sticker shock when it comes time to go out on date night and to go out to dinner, or when it comes time to go catch a movie or go do some other sort of entertainment type thing. Those costs can add up quick. I can tell you on average, if Stasha and I decide to go out to dinner, just the two of us, even if we don't have anything to drink, even if we drink water or we just get a fountain drink, I'm still looking $50 to $60 for the two of us to have dinner with a tip. If we add in a cocktail or a beer, man, $100 for the two of us to have dinner, it's easy to hit that number without going. I'm not talking about going to a fancy restaurant. Like, I'm talking about going to like a major chain restaurant or some sort of, a local restaurant that's just a normal run-of-the-mill restaurant. We can hit that $100 mark for two people for dinner really quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I'm not a big drinker, so when I go out, I usually don't order alcohol. But I can tell you on average, when I do go out to eat, just even my daughter and I, we're usually in that $40 range.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point now where, she's 5, so she doesn't eat a whole lot most of the time. So Daddy just gets something that she'll eat, and we'll share a plate, and we save a little bit of money that way. But it's not just dining. As you kind of acclimate to Vegas, there are times that you're going to want to go see a great show on the Strip, and really just, or even have some, a great meal right after or right before that show. So the closer you get to the Strip, the closer you get to the areas that they have a lot of tourism, you're going to unfortunately have to pay those prices. Now, if you're smart, you pay attention, you will find a lot of restaurants, a lot of casinos and places that you can buy your tickets will offer locals discounts. You just have to ask for it. If you have that in the back of your mind, you do your research, say, hey, I'm a local, or I have a player's card. Even if you don't gamble, get a player's card. Show them that player's card. You can usually save yourself anywhere from 5 to 7%.
Yeah, which is a big help in the long term. So, moving on from that, though, let's talk a little bit about health and wellness.
Okay.
So, I'm going to let Justin speak to this one a little bit more.
Because I'm so healthy?
Well, I mean, what am I supposed to say that? No, I don't feel like I'm really qualified to talk about this because I am retired military, and so all of my health coverage comes from the VA and from the military hospital, so I don't have to involve myself, with the exception of the occasional copay that I might pay if I have to get some sort of a service off base. Myself and my family were all covered under that plan because of the fact that I did do 20 years in the Army. But I know that you have to take care of health insurance for you and your daughter, so Correct. You're probably a little better qualified to talk about this.
Well, I can tell you this. When I first moved here and I started shopping for health insurance, it was hard because the medical facilities back then, 14 years ago, aren't as abundant as they are now. So you start to see the pricing come down. I think I pay a fairly fair rate for my daughter and I, and we have fairly decent coverage. It's a PPO plan, so we're able to choose our doctor and choose our hospital, which is really nice. Since I've been here in the last 14 years, I can think of 3 new hospitals that they've built. And when you see a new hospital built, obviously you see medical facilities come around that. They have to fill those medical facilities with medical professionals. So you've started to see even more recruitment of doctors and qualified nurses and specialty staff for those facilities. So health and wellness has definitely become much more of a priority here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would say healthcare costs probably a little bit below average. Depending on where you're coming from, if you're coming from California or the Pacific Northwest, you might see a significant drop in the cost of your health care. Again, we're a growing city, so I know in California you have a hospital on every other corner, and we're getting to the point now where you're seeing more and more here in Vegas. So your options might not be as plentiful, but there's still plenty of medical services for you at what I would say is at least an average, maybe even slightly below average cost.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing that you can take into account when you're talking about health and wellness expenses is if you're somebody like myself who enjoys working out, you're going to have to factor in that gym membership, right? And we do have some decent budget options for gym memberships here in town. The one that comes to mind immediately is LVAC, which is the Las Vegas Athletic Club. They are very, very reasonably priced. However, because they're so reasonably priced, my understanding, I'm not an LVAC member, but my understanding is those places are constantly packed.
I've been into LVAC several times, and the way LVAC works is they have a tiered system on their pricing. So it can be if you just get the basic membership, you just want to go in, you want to work out, you do some free weights, do your cardio, maybe jump in the pool, do some laps in the running track. It's going to be very affordable, probably under $20 a month. But then there are different tiers. If you want to do some of their classes, take advantage of their fitness coaches, their daycare center, things like that, then it can start to raise up in price. We do have, I think I've seen 3 different large national chain gyms move into Vegas probably in the last 7 years. So like EOS, Planet Fitness, places like that, bigger gym chains that are moving in here. I myself have an EOS membership, as you can tell, and it's very affordable. It's so affordable sometimes I forget I even have it.
Yeah, that's why you forget.
Yeah.
I work out at the UFC Fit up here near my house, and it's pretty reasonable. I actually took advantage of a promotion that they were offering, and I prepaid for 2 entire years, and it cost me $500.
That's exactly what I did with my my EOS membership. I prepaid.
Yeah, which totally worth it.
Yeah.
And I think I'm right around the 1 year mark, so I'll have to renew that here in close to another year. Okay. But EOS is a great option. LVAC can be a great option. I like the UFC Fit, the one that I go to. I think it's the only one in the Valley. But then on the other end of that, I got a couple of buddies who are big ballin' and super bougie. They work out over at the Lifetime Fitness, and I'm pretty sure they're paying like $200 a month. But my one buddy said he pays that because it's worth it for the networking opportunities, because all of the other big ballin' real estate moguls that he's trying to hobnob with all work out there. So if you got it, I'm not angry at you, but I'm certainly not willing to pay that.
Let me take it back to one of the beginning topics of our conversation. Let's talk about HOAs. Sometimes your HOA fees will include amenities like a gym. Where I live, we have a fitness center. It's not a huge fitness center, but they do have a fitness center, and access to that is included in your HOA fees. So if working out is something that's important to you, but you're also budget conscious, we can talk about some of the amenities that the community that you're moving into has, and maybe that gym membership is a cost you won't have to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great tip. All right, so a lot of the things that we have mentioned are expenses that you're going to have to deal with no matter where you live in some form or fashion. We've tried to keep it local to Vegas as far as the specifics, but they're not necessarily things that you would not have to deal with if you live anywhere else in the country. Here's something that is going to be a little bit more exclusive to people, maybe not just live in Vegas, but if you live in the desert. So maybe if you live in Phoenix or Tucson or Barstow, California, something like that. That is expenses related to the climate. And specifically the big one I'm thinking of is air conditioner maintenance.
Yeah.
So, our air conditioners here are probably some of the hardest working air conditioners in the country. And because of that, they require more maintenance than you may require if you live elsewhere. And that is definitely a cost that has to be taken into account. Mm-hmm. And it's a cost that's jumped up and bit me a couple times since I've lived here. I've had to have multiple AC related repairs made since I purchased this home, including I have 2 AC units because of the size of my home. I had to replace one of them. Mm-hmm. That was 10 grand. Yep. Right there off the top, 10 grand, write the check. Right now, the AC they put in works fantastic. It's really, really great. Very high-end, efficient model. But man, that expense hurt.
It hurts.
Yeah. So even if you don't have to buy a new AC, regular AC maintenance is something that you're definitely going to have to take into account. And the average visit from the air conditioning repair guy is going to run you, somewhere between $100 and $300, I'd say, depending on what it is that they have to come do. Heck, it cost me over $100, and all they ended up doing was replacing a fuse inside the unit. So, ouch.
Now I know the great thing is that you open up a let's show our age a little bit. You open up a phone book, you're going to find 1,000 AC repair companies in town, so that you can shop around and find the best price and get the best quality. Or you can come to Mike and I. We obviously have a lot of experience working with AC techs, and we can get you somebody out that's going to be affordable and get the job done. There are even AC companies out here now that are starting to do monthly programs. So you pay a small amount every month, and that's going to give you your 90-day service, your filters, and then if something breaks down, you're going to get a major discount on those repairs.
Yeah, I have a membership like that for one of the large AC companies here in town, and I pay, like you said, it's like $80 a month, and it takes care of some of the routine maintenance things, and then I do get a discount for a major repair.
Yeah.
So that has come in handy for me a couple of times.
Yeah. And you can also do something like a home warranty that will cover your air conditioning. So if there is a major problem with that, you just pay your small deductible, your service charge, and they'll come out, fix it, or if need be, repaired as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other climate related expense that you might have to take into account is all of this heat can be tough on your car.
It can be.
And it can cause some early wear, particularly to the tires, because you're driving around, it's 110 degrees out, which means that the asphalt is probably 140, 150 degrees.
Yeah.
And that's hard on your tires, and also it's hard on your battery. So your battery is going to wear down quicker and going to need to be replaced more often. And then in addition to that, just like your house, that AC is cranking constantly, and that's going to put wear and tear on your car. So take into account the harsh environment that Las Vegas exists in is going to cause certain things to wear out more quickly, and you're going to have to spend money to fix those things, and that's a cost you need to take into account when you're figuring out your annual budget.
Yeah. Then on the other side, though, since we don't get snow, you don't have to worry about salt on the roads, so you don't have to worry about the rust. So if you're coming from back east, your car overall would be much more healthy because you're not driving through all that snow and the ice and the salt on the roads. So you don't get that rust, and it doesn't wear out your
corrosion.
frame. Corrosion is the word I'm looking for. So there are going to be kind of trade-offs. I know that with my truck, I change the battery out probably every 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, that's about average, I would say. But guys, we're gonna wrap this video up. We know this one ran just a little bit long, but we wanted to share some of these things with you because if you are in fact considering a move here, it's important that you have all the information, and it's important that you're well prepared, because some of these budget items are going to have an effect on maybe how much you want to spend a month in a mortgage payment. And that's information you're going to need to give Justin and I when we start helping you look for a home. Just because you're qualified for up to a certain number doesn't necessarily mean that's the mortgage payment that you want. And we want to make sure that you don't have buyer's remorse, that you don't have second thoughts or regrets after you purchase your home. We want you to be happy. We want you to have no regrets about the purchase that you make, especially if you make it with us, because we're always in search of happy customers.
Which leads us into a great point, which is why we partner with somebody like Steve Schauer and Lynn DeVoe. Fantastic lenders that do take into account what are your HOA fees? Is there a master plan fee? What are the insurance costs? They're going to take into account all of that information so that when they present with you a monthly payment, which is always usually the most important thing, how much is this going to cost me monthly? All of that's going to be rolled and factored into it, including your taxes, so that you can make a better decision on where you want to live and the type of home you want to buy.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, that's going to do it for us. Remember, if you are thinking about moving to Las Vegas, or if you live here and you're looking to either upgrade, downgrade, whatever the case may be, make sure you reach out to Justin and I here at the Moody Olson team. Whether you're moving here next week, next month, or next year, we're here to help you find your dream home, and I promise you nobody's going to work harder for you. Until next time, I'm Mike.
I'm Justin.
And we're out of here.